Hello and welcome to Lawyer Tops. This week I want to show you how I would bead a necklace. So what would the process be for me? First of all, I would choose the type of necklace I want to bead. Would it be plain? How many rows would it have? What number of rows would it have? Would it have a pendant or a centerpiece? Maybe a center type of a bead, a bigger bead as the centerpiece. What type of beads would I want to use? And deciding what type of beads I will use means what's the thickness of my beading thread, or what type of beading thread would I use? And then will there be any other accessories that I also want to use? And last but not the least, what type of closure would I use? I could use crimps, I could use a clamshell, I could use I could tie it. It depends on what I feel I want to use. Then the next step would be for me to source my materials, to look out for the tools, bring out the tools, bring out the wire, bring out any accessories that I want to use, and then bring out the beads and then lay them on the bead board, which is what I have here. I've laid my materials on the bead board. As you can see, I have my tools, I have my thread, I have glue if I need it, I have my closure, which is a lobster clasp, that's the tiny one here. I have my beads, I have my crimps. Now what I want to use is a center bead, so I've put that in the center and I've laid my beads out. And the beads I'm using in this necklace are 8mm pink opal, some aquamarine rough nuggets, and a large pink, a large opal oval nugget. I'm also using some bead caps just to give it some beauty, and I'm going to crimp. So let's bead. So before beading, since I've decided the length of my necklace, in this case is to be about 15.5 inches. So I've laid the beads out. And remember, once you have a centerpiece, either a center bead or a pendant, whatever you have as a centerpiece, then both sides of this, the left and right of the centerpiece, must be the same measurements. Otherwise, your centerpiece will end up not being in the center. So you need to think of that. If it is a centerpiece, if it is on the side, then you have to adjust your beads. But this is a center necklace, centerpiece necklace, so both sides have to be the same. Now, when I start my beading, because I'm crimping, I'm not going to cut off the length of thread I'm going to use. I'm going to bead it first and see if I end up at 15 inches first of all. So let me quickly bead. When you lay your beads on the bead board, you have to look at it and decide whether you like the arrangement, or you want to amend the arrangement, or you want to add some other things, or you want to take out some things. That is the essence of putting your beads on the bead board and then getting the correct measurement. So once you've done all that, and perhaps you've altered your beads, maybe you've altered the arrangements, or you've done whatever you want to do, you need to now thread your beads, which is what I'm doing now. Once I've finished beading, I like to lay the necklace straight on the table and use my tape measure to make sure I've got the right measurements. So let's see what measurements we've got. So what we've got here is about 14.5. The closure itself is going to be about 1/2 inch. So that will bring us up to 15. And I would like it to be about 15.5. So what I'm going to do is to add one more bead on each side. And then we add on this side once I finish. So now we've come to fixing the closure. And remember, when we do when we use crimp, I always use a crimp bead. It's on the string, and now to close it, we add our crimp bead. Take 1/2 of the clasp, which in this case I'm using a lobster clasp. So I take 1/2 of the lobster clasp, pass it back through the crimp, if you're not sure how to crimp beads, you need to practice and use your crimping tool. Once you've done that, it should be fine. You can pull it a little bit to see if it's not loose, and then you add your and then push your beads back. Remember, I always like to pass the extra thread into a few beads before I cut it off. Okay, so this is the extra bit. Remember to be very careful so you don't cut off the main thread itself. And there you have your necklace. So we need to finish this end. Give yourself some leeway. Remember, we need to add one more bead here. Put your crimp. Take your crimp, pass the thread through it, add it onto the other end of your closure, and then pass it back through the crimp cover, through the crimp, sorry, not the crimp cover. We haven't put the crimp cover yet. pull it tight. Pull it as tight as it could be, and then you crimp. There you go. So you can add your crimp cover, but before I do that, I'm going to pass the extra thread through the just to make sure it's firm enough. Pass it through the other two, passing it through 3 beads. So that's what I'm going to cut off. And then I'm going to add my crimp cover. Make it nice and round. And there you go. So that is this is the beaded necklace. This is how I would bead a simple necklace. Thank you for watching this week. Remember to ask your friends to subscribe to our channel. Everywhere we bring videos to you every Friday at 7 p.m. So thank you for watching this week, and thank you for liking my videos and staying on my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you next week. Bye.